friends. Good morning to you. Let me explain to you now about the drawbacks or the disadvantages of our tax system. See, no doubt India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and for its public spending for the developmental activities, the government relies heavily on its tax system to generate the revenue. But like any other system, India's tax structure also has its drawbacks, which require attention and reforms. See, our tax system is highly complex and cumbersome in nature. The multitude nature of our taxes, like the income tax, goods and services tax, GST, the corporate tax, wealth tax, property tax, the property registration charges, central excise, customs duty, road tax, toll, and others. It creates a web of regulations and the compliance requirements that are challenging for the individuals and for the businesses to progress. See, this complexity, in addition to the significant compliance burden, and the increased administrative costs, it leads to the invention of a mechanism for the tax evasion. So everybody is busy in this. Whatever is the tax due from the individuals, it should be collected on demand at source by the concerned authorities, like it is done in a shop or toll. We don't file the returns for the GST that we pay or the toll that we pay. And individuals should be relieved of the burden of maintaining the accounts or filing of returns. See, it should be similar for all taxes. The difficulty in satisfying the statutory requirements associated with our tax system, it poses a significant disadvantage for both the individuals and the businesses. Taxpayers are required to file the multiple tax returns, maintain the extensive documentation, and keep abreast of the frequent changes in tax laws and regulations. So all this leads to the time-consuming processes, increased administrative costs, the non-productive exercises, and potential errors in the tax filings. See, there is lack of clarity in tax laws and provisions. The interpretation of tax laws, it can vary, leading to different opinions among taxpayers, tax professionals, and tax authorities. So this ambiguity often results in the disputes, the prolonged litigation in courts and appellate authorities. And there is uncertainty at every point of time. So this means it is difficult for the taxpayers to plan their finances effectively and comply with the tax laws. So this tax evasion, it leads to creation of significant black money and bad economy. So high tax rates, complex regulations, and weak enforcement mechanisms, they contribute to the tax evasion practices. And combining all taxes, adding all taxes together, collecting the entire tax in one place under one heading, it is no way a relief for the taxpayer, either procedurally or financially. This only helps the government in collecting all taxes in one place, in one challan. See, many individuals and the businesses, they resort to underreporting the income, inflating the expenses, or engaging in other fraudulent activities to avoid paying taxes, heavy taxes. The small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, they face specific disadvantages within India's tax system. The GST compliance requirements can be particularly challenging for these business enterprises, as they often lack the necessary resources and infrastructure to adopt themselves quickly. See, the complex registration process, frequent tax rate changes, and the intricate invoicing rules, they create additional hurdles for the small and medium enterprises, hindering their growth and their competitiveness. So even before they take up the business, they have to approach an auditor, a lawyer, tax consultant, the bankers, and so on. So many people cannot withstand all this for long, and they close the shop with unpaid EMIs. India's tax system suffers from an inequitable distribution of the tax burden. See, the middle class, which forms a significant portion of the tax base, often bears the heavy penalty, while the wealthy and the large corporations, they may exploit the loopholes and they enjoy undue tax benefits. So this imbalance not only undermines the social justice, but also hampers the economic growth of the country. So while India's tax system plays a crucial role in financing the public services and development, it is essential to address its disadvantages or the loopholes or the lacunas, the drawbacks, to ensure efficiency, simplicity, and fairness. So by undertaking comprehensive reforms like the simplification of tax laws, reducing the compliance burdens, improving the clarity and transparency, strengthening the enforcement mechanism, and promoting the tax education and awareness, it can certainly help the economic growth, reduce the tax evasion, and promote a fair and equitable society. So the finance ministry should not use its par excellent intelligence with 100 people sitting for 100 days for confusing a prompt taxpayer with average intelligence. Don't allow too many options with too many ifs and buts and 100 hidden agendas. So the entire income tax structure, say the IT on salaries, income from other sources, tax on property income, the tax on income from professional services, can all be said, and it can be concluded, in my opinion, within 50 pages if the intention of the government is not to confuse the taxpayers and allow the middlemen to grow. See, for the salaried class, the tax is already cut at source. He or she will receive the money after tax, but still he has to pay the taxes again for all the purchases he makes and for all the services that he avails. So is it logical at all? So while salary is the money for the services that you have provided, or it is for the difficult labor that you have undergone, it is certainly not fair to call it an income and subject that to taxation. It is not similar to something that you get in a lottery or the horse race or puzzle game, just like that. If you are the owner of a landed property, you have to pay property tax every year. But why is the collection of heavy tax on the registration charges at every stage of purchase or the change of ownership? So when you have already paid the lifetime tax for the vehicle, for the vehicles which are supposed to run on the roads, why collection of the toll again? And what is the control on the pilferage? When you are collecting the GST on all purchases and services, why so many other taxes? Why is GST on all essential commodities like your grocery items, medicines, medical treatment, the hospital expenditure? See, medicines have become costlier than the liquors. 18% GST on medicines and medical goods, including the surgical items. 28% on the non-pharmaceutical medicines. This is the stage. So tax should be on the luxury items only. Tax should be only at one source and not on multiple occasions. So it should be levied at the level of spending money for purchase or services and not at the level of earning. Increase the rates on luxury items, it does not matter, but it should not be levied on a common man's common items. The tax collected from a common man should only be spent on the items of public use, services of public use, for services meant for the public. It can be for public education, it can be for public medical services, it can be for a road, a bridge, a flyover, for the improvement of the drinking water and the irrigation system, electric system, improvement of parks, the subsidy for the educational, medical and agricultural items, but not for sponsoring the vote catching projects, not for the benefit of a particular group, community or section. On the other hand, improve the education and medical system. You spend on the law and order and the security of the people, security of the state, security of the country. See, there should be no extravagance in spending public money earned through taxation, whether it is income tax or excise duty, property tax, customs duty, the GST, and so on, for the benefit of government. It should not be spent for the benefit of the government machinery, not for the comfort of government officials, not for the comfort of the ministers. There should be consistency in the tax policy and tax rates for at least 5 years. Only then the people can decide whether to proceed with a particular project or not. When money is required, don't penalize only the prompt taxpayers, which is only around 2% of the voting population. For every developmental activity, don't only penalize these people. You broaden, on the other hand, the taxpayers' domain and proportionately reduce the tax burden. So whatever tax the government collects, in whatever name, under whatever caption, government is morally authorized to retain a small portion of it towards its operational cost or the administrative cost and spend a major amount for the common welfare of those who pay it. Whereas government is collecting heavy amounts from, say, section A and spending it or, say, gifting it to section B. So is it the right attitude of a welfare state at all? See, on the other hand, there are also other sources from where the government earns revenue. So the revenue earned by the government through their public sector undertakings, the revenue earned through governmental financial institutions, the government commercial sectors and government's lending. The government can be a little flexible in these cases in choosing the projects, but not with the taxpayers' money. So much so, the voting should be made compulsory. Some minimum educational standards should be fixed for both the voters and the candidates contesting the elections. There must be some retirement age for the politicians also. When most of the major decisions are taken by the head of the government or only by the cabinet, not referring it to the legislature, why should we have so many elected people in our legislature or parliament and spend for them? There should be a restriction in becoming a minister or head of the government again and again, both at the state and center. New faces should also be encouraged. So this is democracy and not the monarchy. Each deserving should get a chance. So only then we can compare the standard of governance. Governments have to be chosen on their qualities of standards of effective administration and governance. How good are they in giving a good governance to the people? It should be on the strength of the promises they have fulfilled and the enduring sustenance they demonstrate during their tenure, and not on their false projections or the promises they make. So that